Alright, welcome back to video 2. Now we're going to talk about the interrelationship between the three sectors. Just to feed a quick recap, primary sector is the extraction of raw materials. Secondary sector is the manufacturing of it into a final good, and tertiary is making sure it gets to the consumer or providing services to the consumer and to businesses. Now a business can be in a primary sector but render a tertiary sector service. Or a business can be in a secondary sector business, but render a service to the consumers. It all depends on their definition. So let's look at the interrelationship between these three sectors. So if I have the primary sector, right, this is where the extraction happens. So to the secondary sector, they send raw materials. They give the secondary sector raw materials. Why? Secondary sector is where they take the raw materials and convert it to a final product. Okay? Secondary sector then makes sure they supply the tertiary sector with finished products. So the tertiary sector gets the finished products and they then supply to the consumers. Now, the tertiary sector renders services to the secondary sector. There's transport, there's warehousing, there's insurance, there's banking. Any business needs to have a bank account. They need to take out insurance. So if you're in the secondary sector, you need to take out insurance. So the tertiary sector renders a service to the secondary service. The tertiary also renders that same service to the primary sector. Why? Primary sector also has to take hold of the services that's on offer, transport, getting the seeds, getting the raw materials to the secondary sector, or taking insurance for a crop or for equipment. So the tertiary sector renders services to the primary and to the secondary sector. It also renders services to itself, right? It can be a bank that needs insurance or transport for the coins or whatever. So it can be a service that links to a service. Now the secondary supplies the final products to the tertiary, but the secondary also provides equipment, right? Your heavy-duty equipment, they can provide it directly to the primary sector. The primary sector can directly supply the tertiary sector. This is where a farmer has got a farm stall, and he, just after harvesting, he sells a basket of fruit next to the side of the road. This is where the primary does a tertiary sector. He sells, right? So this business is in primary and in the secondary tertiary sector. The primary can supply himself. For example, if one farmer supplies seeds to another farmer, or when a fisherman let's say someone that's harvesting water, let's say they have need for that, they can buy the raw materials from each other before they supply to a manufacturer to combine it. Alright, and secondary can also render services to itself. Alright, so this can be, for example, let's say we've got Volkswagen and they assemble cars. They're in the secondary sector, but they need tires, and they go to Continental, who also in the secondary sector. They produce tires, so Continental provides Volkswagen with tires. So it's secondary supporting secondary in order to have a complete vehicle that's being sold in the tertiary sector. I hope this makes sense. The last one that I can add is we need to make sure that this is sustainable. This is the last topic. We don't have a lot of resources. It is limited. If we look at the trees, we can replant it. But, and plants, agriculture, farming, we can plant it if we take care of the earth, if we nurture it. But fishing, there's a lot of fish farms, but if it's not done sustainably, we can actually ruin our whole lifestyle or the future lives of fish, right? If that makes sense. Minerals, if we extract the coal and the gold, there will be nothing left for future generations. So if your kids need to know what is gold and we extracted all of it, it would just be a scarce commodity that people have on their fingers and they won't know where it comes from. So we need to make sure that we use this scarce or in a sustainable way, right? In a saving way. That's why water is so important. That's why saving electricity is so important. So that in the secondary sector, we can actually try and reuse, recycle. If we've used it once, we need to recycle it and reuse it. And then in the tertiary sector, we can try to cut down on additional costs. So this is it in a nutshell. If you have any questions, you're welcome to refer to my other videos or send me an email. You've got the details. All the best.